Welcome to the K-Drama Show with Ashley and Kim.
That's Ashley.
That's Kim. We're here to recap and relive our favorite moments from My ID Is Gangnam Beauty, episode 12, with you, our listeners.
We're going to jump right in. So this is your one and only warning. Spoilers are incoming. So if you haven't yet, make sure you go watch episode 12 and then come meet us back here so that we can talk about the episode together. Today's episode is called Do You Like Me? Very apropos given the way that we left off episode 11 last week. But we get to see KyungSeok's little bit of a baby spiral happen for a minute and a half, as well as Wooyoung. They're kind of living in the same sad right now. But we also have CEO Na instilling a little bit of wisdom into MiRae, trying to get her to realize that maybe she and Sua aren't quite so different from one another. But at the end of this, we get a little confession from Wooyoung to MiRae, and somebody witnesses them parting ways at the end of the night. Second baby spiral, or not so baby spiral. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Welcome to the K-Drama Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kim.
We're here to unpack your all-time favorite Korean dramas and chat about all the reasons that we find these shows so charming.
And so addictive. And we know you do too, so settle in with some ramen and a boba tea while we dive into the K-Drama Show with Ashley and Kim.
Go follow us on Instagram at the KDrama Show. We will be doing shout outs during episodes. If you're a follower, also comment, like everything that we post. Please
Talk to us.
Okay, that's all I got for right now.
Would you like to give us a quick recap?
Okay, so last episode, MiRae and Sua had a little bit of a standoff, if you will, and MiRae gets very offended that Sua thinks that she's stupid from the way that she's been treating her. KyungSeok he is in Big Brother mode to bring his little sister out of living in a very, very sketchy situation.
Yes.
And going, you're going to go stay with mom. We're not going to be dumb. At their job, the sleazy sunbae makes some very inappropriate and horrible comments to KyungSeok about MiRae, causing them to get into a fight and go to the police station. Which then CEO Na comes and
Saves
the day. But when he walks MiRae home, he asks if she likes him. And that's where we ended our last episode.
Okay, so episode 12, this first topic I called Kobaek. KyungSeok has confessed, capital CONFESSED. And MiRae is living in denial that he might like her. Like might.
It maybe it crossed his mind.
It's fine. It's a little unbelievable, honestly, just the level of denial that she's living in. But we get our first rendition of the song from the OST that Cha-nu sang, which was Rainbow Falling. And I also love that they credit Astro with this song, which is kind of cool, just to give them that exposure.
Yeah.
But MiRae gets flustered and apologizes for giving KyungSeok the wrong impression since they are just friends. And he says, "Do you like someone else?" And she just kind of laughs it off because she's like, I don't like anyone. And then he gets the friend zone bicep pat. Yeah. It was rough. But MiRae gets to her apartment, and she kind of relives this moment over her mind because she's trying to convince herself that she has given up on her feelings for KyungSeok at this point. And she asks herself, do you want to ruin your life again? We're being a little bit melodramatic, but it is called a K-drama. So, but KyungSeok walks home and he's big sad. He gets to his apartment and Wooyoung immediately scolds him about chores because that's his favorite thing to do. But KyungSeok finally pushes back, saying that he's going to pay his half of the rent so that Wooyoung can just stop bothering him about it.
Just leave me alone.
But we're at the bus stop the next day, and MiRae is worried about seeing KyungSeok. On campus, Yena and Yoonbyul, they notice a bulletin for the Kelllun CEO, which is CEO Na, to come speak at the school. And the subject of Wooyoung Sunbae arises again. And we see Yena saying that Yoonbyul should try to dress a little bit more feminine, like Yena does. And Yoonbyul says that she wants to be true to herself and not, quote, trick and seduce anyone by being fake. And Yena is not impressed by her use of the word seduce. That brings us to topic 2, which I called spiral.
So yes, they're having the special lecture that's being held by Kelllun, And CEO Na is coming in, and when she walks in, the whole class is like, wow, genetics are strong. Clearly, this is where KyungSeok gets his looks. Like, she is gorgeous. He, however, is late. KyungSeok has not shown up to class because everybody sat down and people are looking around, and MiRae gets asked if she knows where KyungSeok is, and she's like, no. Why would I know that?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that he has actually gone to the salon that he had been approached by the stylist to be a model. And he's just wanting to change up his look because he also needs money to pay rent, which is why he is going. So then we're back at the school, and CEO Na is going through her whole speech, and she's talking about how scent can be the way that you can remember someone. And MiRae thinks back to KyungSeok and just like all of their interactions from middle school to now, and how her perfume has been something, a topic, obviously, for them.
Mm-hmm.
And at this moment, KyungSeok walks in, and he has a frosty blue hair color.
Yes, he does.
Personally, I thought it was kind of awesome, but I also dye my hair with lots of crazy colors, so, but it does stop CEO Na in her tracks of, what
Are you okay?
did you just do?
Someone turns to Wono and he's like, you'd better not try to copy that. And you can see he's like briefly considering it. He's like, I don't like it anyway. It's fine.
It's not even that great. But Haesung ends her speech with an invitation to take part in the program that her company is holding for them to come and just learn a little bit more about the perfume world.
Mm-hmm.
And after her lecture, Haesung and KyungSeok are together, and this is when she asks him if he is okay. Like, are you...
Midlife crisis hit a little early.
Classes okay? Like, finals were good, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't... But then we also have MiRae at the same time. She's walking and she's wondering if KyungSeok has dyed his hair the way that girls do after they have a breakup.
It's a fair assessment.
I would say the answer would be yes on that.
It's kind of funny. So the scene in the salon where you see the next booth over is a woman doing another woman's haircut. And she's just, like, watching KyungSeok, and she snips off, like, 8 inches of her hair on one side. She's like, hopefully she won't notice. Just keep looking at the pretty guy over there.
Please.
But it's kind of funny or interesting how KyungSeok's kind of given MiRae, like, the Suwa cold shoulder here. And we've never seen him really do this. Maybe in episode 1 when he wasn't sure who she was.
Right.
But he won't even speak to her. He won't even engage her. Like, there have been times where he's been mad at her and he still talks to her.
Right.
But here he's just like, go away.
Wall.
Yeah. But, topic 3, I called KyungSeok's sassy hair. And another thing is, I think it's so funny how they're like, yeah, we're going to do this really drastic hair.
Right.
And it looks like the
afro.
Halloween spray that you would put in your hair.
Yeah. I've had green spray that I've done.
I mean, that's just what it looked like to me. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know
It's
anything about
frosty.
hair.
It's frosty.
Something. But everyone is kind of contemplating what KyungSeok's motivation is for acting out this way. And Ye-na is kind of reflecting on the fact that everyone lives with a little bit of KyungSeok in their hearts because he's so good looking. But meanwhile, CEO Na is taking Kyunghee out for a proper meal this time. And she says, be honest, my cooking was bad, wasn't it? And Kyunghee gives her the cutest little, like, pixie smile. She just looks at her mom, so cute. And then CEO Na shows Kyunghee the picture of KyungSeok, saying she didn't want to nag him at school about it. But Kyunghee is saying he's never been vain about his looks, but maybe he has a girlfriend now. Or maybe he was rejected. And it's back at their apartment, and KyungSeok hands Woo-young his half of the rent and asks for a receipt, saying that verbal receipts are useless. Mm-hmm. And Woo-young comments on how much he's grown, and KyungSeok says, I learned fast. And Woo-young says, well, I don't get some credit for teaching you. You don't look cool when you show off like that. Woo-young asks him if he agreed to be a hair model, and KyungSeok tells him not to pretend like he knows everything. Spicy little thing. But we also get a glimpse of KyungSeok pining for MiRae, and MiRae pining for KyungSeok in the study hall with normal hair now.
Yeah, he changed it back real fast.
But that brings us to topic 4, which is called midterms.
So finals are over, which is always the best feeling when you're in school. Yeah. Like, oh, thank God. So everybody's going out and celebrating. They're going to go do something fun. Go, get something good to eat. Just go hang out. Like, you don't have to stress anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And Taehee and Taeyoung are walking out of one of the buildings, and Chonwoo comes up and asks about the company program. Taehee is also obviously very, very annoyed and disgusted with him because of the way that he treated her the last time that they interacted. And after he leaves, she gets mad at Taeyoung, saying, like, what is wrong with you? Why are you being nice to him? He's like, oh, well, we're still classmates. And she was like, yeah, but he was disrespectful. That's a problem. You can't treat it like it didn't happen. And she goes, even classmates care for each other. So what is wrong with you? Like, which she's not wrong. Like, he needs to understand that he...
Did you catch what he said as she walked away, though? He sighs and says, this is getting tiring. Jerk.
Rude.
Yes, how dare your girlfriend expect you to not allow other men to, like, speak down to her in front of you.
Shocking.
So tiring.
Suat is seen feeding a kitten, and we see that a young man walk up to her, and his name is Dongwon, and she very, very kindly greets him, like, stands up, waves, and the kitten actually has the same name. But then we see Haesung and MiRae go out for lunch, and Haesung asks MiRae, what's going on with KyungSeok?
Oh, we skipped ahead, sorry.
Oh, did we? Sorry, that's where my notes are.
It's okay. Just to expand upon that last note, so
Yes.
She greets him by name, but we see later on in the day, he logs into an internet cafe, and he says, I think the goddess of our department really likes me. The cat she looks after has the same name as me. Everyone pokes fun at him, saying like, okay, you're kind of delusional. But he really takes to heart the fact that she might like him. But topic 5, which I called one in the same.
Okay.
But CEO Na and MiRae are having a meal together when she breaches the subject of KyungSeok. CEO Na asks if MiRae knows whether KyungSeok has been going through like a rough time or things okay at school. Do you know things are going good with classmates? And she just kind of smiles and she's like, yeah, everything's fine with him. But CEO Na kind of clocks the fact that maybe MiRae's having some struggles of her own. And I really enjoy the fact that MiRae feels comfortable enough to be honest with her in this moment because she's not honest with a lot of people.
Not
maybe
even her parents.
No, maybe Hyunjung is probably the closest thing.
Right.
But as much wisdom as like Hyunjung has to offer her, I think CEO Na is leaps and bounds above that.
Right.
But Sua has gone to see Woo-young to sign up for the Kelllun internship, and she's kind of looking down the list, and she happens to notice an absence of MiRae and KyungSeok's names. And as she goes to leave, he walks in, and she tries to address him, but he completely blows her off. He does not even look at her. He marches straight over to Woo-young and says he wants to sign up. And Woo-young says, do well since it's your mother's company. And KyungSeok says, well, I guess that's up to me. Which Woo-young finally asks KyungSeok, he's like, are you mad at me? Did I do something? It's just like, no, he's just mad at the whole world right now. Don't take it personally.
He's angry.
But CEO Na is confused about MiRae's hesitation since KyungSeok and her both like each other. It shouldn't matter who ranks higher socially. MiRae admits that she's afraid of other people's opinions, and a lot of it's because of Sua, who's been instilling these fears in her this whole time. But CEO Na tells her that every woman feels that way, and she's sorry that someone made her feel that way. But it's possible that your pretty friend isn't too different from you. I just hope you won't make a choice that you regret. And this, like, revolutionizes MiRae's perspective of Sua, because she thinks that being pretty is the equivalent of having it all. Like, the world falls at your feet, but insecurity lives in all of us.
Right.
And it's what you do with it that really matters at the end of the day. And they're both figuring that out in their own way. One of them is doing it in a little bit more healthy way.
Right.
But they do both need to work through that. But topic 6, it's complicated.
So MiRae is walking home from her lunch with CEO Na, and she actually gets a phone call from Woo Young, and they both happen to be walking like back to their apartments at the same time. And this is when he asks her why she hadn't applied for the summer program at the company yet. Because obviously, like, she has a connection with Hye-sung, and she's very interested in it. And as they leave, they're on... Wow, okay. Don't ask me what I was typing here. But as they're walking, Woo Young asks MiRae if they could go to the movies together. Just the two of them. Which she, like, agrees, because she's like, oh, okay, yeah, like...
I'll call Hyunjung, see what she's up to.
This would be just like a normal thing. And he's like, yeah, no, can it just be you and me? She's like...
우리 두 사람.
우리 두 사람. Why?
Isn't that from The Inheritors? Oh, you've never seen that?
I've seen
why am I
2 episodes.
so convinced that you've seen the whole thing? Sorry.
Just like you're convinced about...
Stop. Don't even go there.
Dots.
Wait, dots?
Descendants of the Sun.
Sorry.
You're the one who did that too.
I did?
Yeah, you're the one who typed out dots.
Okay. I believe you. Everything's fine.
Everything was fine. Okay. Then we cut to Sua, and she is standing on a scale, and she's looking at the numbers, and is very upset with what she sees, and begins to grumble that she has gained weight. And she pulls out a bottle of pills that are supposed to suppress your appetite, and, like, looks in the mirror as if, like, and, like, almost with disgust at what she sees. And then we cut to the next day, and she's feeding the kitten again, and Dongwon walks up to her and tells her that she needs to rinse off the tuna for the kitten because it's too salty. Which we talked about earlier. I've never rinsed a can of tuna before.
I've never even considered it until this show.
So,
but it's probably true. It probably does have a lot of sodium in it.
Idea. Then we're at the company, and the company program is beginning, and so they're at, like, orientation. And MiRae is sitting there just waiting for everybody else to show up. And Sua comes in and sits down next to her, you know, asking about, oh, are you still working at that part-time job? Are you and KyungSeok still there? And MiRae tells her no, that they had quit. Then KyungSeok comes in, and he purposely sits and ignores everybody and sits, like, the opposite couple rows back from MiRae. And Sua makes a comment that he should never have been part of the problem with the whole interaction from the sleazy sunbae who had been very inappropriate. Which, girl, you were causing some of that problem, so...
Well, she says, I shouldn't have gotten involved. I feel wronged. I love that MiRae looks at her like, okay, you psychopath. Like, you've got problems. I don't know why you feel like you're the one. They were literally talking about my body in the most, like,
most people who
what's
are
the word
your
I'm looking
friend.
for? I was going to say gruesome, and that's not the word I'm looking for. Not grotesque. Not critical. Help me.
I'm trying to figure out what...
It's fine.
Give me more... I need more context
here.
It's
kind of like when you're talking about something in a very, like, explicit... Maybe explicit. Yeah, they're talking about her in very explicit ways.
Right. Graphic? Is that
graphic
what
would
you were
be...
thinking?
Yeah, maybe that's the word I was looking for. But it's during the introduction, and MiRae and KyungSeok actually make contact for the first time since their little interaction, and he just, like, stares through her soul. As he does.
Is just like...
Yeah, because he's frustrated with her because she won't be honest with herself and she won't be honest with him.
Yeah.
Because he knows better. He's not stupid.
No, that's why when they first started to become friends, he was like, okay, like, you get me.
And I get you.
And I get you. Like, that's what we can communicate in a way that we can't communicate with other people. So just talk.
Yeah, as he bores a hole through her forehead. But Woo-young is working in the office when Yoonbyul stops by, saying she has something to tell him, and she hands him this little handwritten note before walking out the door, or rather, marching out the door.
Mission, man.
I love how they use like that playful military style kind of cadence behind her as she's like bum ba da bum 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 or whatever, because everything she does is so formal.
Yeah.
Because that's just kind of how she sees the world, as black and white. Like, I like this guy, so I'm gonna go confess to him. And he reads her confession, and it really catches him off guard. He calls her brave, but he's also kind of at a loss for what to do, because he's just like, what? And also he loves another girl, so
right.
But that brings us to topic 7, which I called Kelllun. MiRae is 110% in her element at Kelllun.
She is living her best life right now.
She's killing it. And she's a skilled perfumer. And she even impresses the director that's overseeing the program. And she recognizes Kang MiRae by name because she was saying that everyone in her department knows her because of the candle that she had sent as a gift before.
Right.
But Hyunjung happens to run into Woo-young Sunbae in the street, who is kind of in a daze following the confession he just got. And she asks him to go have a meal since he hasn't eaten that day. And he agrees, because they're friends. And she's pretty pleased with that fact. But the interns all show up to the Berlin after their first day. And KyungSeok is choosing to be antisocial again. He's sitting at the counter with
We're back to square one.
Yoojin instead of with his peers. And Yoojin kind of calls him a loner when his friends are calling him over to their table, which makes MiRae a little bit uncomfortable. But Yoojin's like, you're doing this to yourself. I thought you were getting better. But Woo-young is distracted and at lunch, and Hyunjung asks him what the issue is. And he asks her advice how to reject someone. I can't change my feelings just because they like me. And she tells him, and there's a double meaning here.
Yeah.
But she tells him he shouldn't be harsh, and just to help the person move on faster. But if that person is a good person, a sincere rejection is far more respectful. And you can see that she's really placing herself in this person's shoes because she kind of expects to be in that same position soon. But we're back at the Berlin, and they start to ask the girls about their types. That's always an exciting conversation.
Again.
But Suah says she likes guys who like her back.
Really?
False. That is the greatest falsity you've spoken so far. You like the one guy who does not like you back.
You are obnoxious about this.
Yeah. But Jihyo and MiRae asks MiRae what her style is, and MiRae says she's never really thought about it, which I think is pretty honest.
Well, and because what's hilarious with that is they do like the little
they take
cartoon
directly
strip
out of the webtoon the pictures of Woo-young and KyungSeok saying, "Do you like the cold types?" And they show KyungSeok,
first girl to treat me this way,
or the dandy types.
Let me become your firefighter.
Yeah, it's so good. But it flashes KyungSeok. But MiRae says she just prefers ordinary guys. And KyungSeok gets really annoyed, and he just announces that he's leaving. But that brings us to topic H. Topic 8, which I called Be KyungSeok.
So it has started to rain. That's always a great way to cool off when you're angry, is get drenched. So KyungSeok goes inside a convenience store to go get an umbrella, and he ends up buying 2 so he can take one to MiRae. Because he has that flashback of when they walked under an umbrella a few episodes ago, and she gave him the umbrella. It was like, just in case it rains again. And so he comes back to give it to her, and we see that Suah has come outside, and she looks at KyungSeok and asks why he doesn't like her. Like, I'm trying to be your friend. And he tells her, even if I don't like you, I wouldn't have treated you like this if you were sincere. And then Suah sees that MiRae is coming out of the corner of her eye, and she runs and hugs KyungSeok and asks if he still doesn't feel anything. And in this moment, KyungSeok sees that MiRae has come up, and she's watching this really awkward, uncomfortable interaction and just turns and leaves, which is probably the better response anyway.
Yeah. Well, and this just confirms everything that she had feared the whole time.
Right. And so KyungSeok pushes off Sua, and not before Sua tries to stop him again and asks, if he really doesn't feel anything. And he looks at her and tells her, "You must be mentally ill." And I told Kim, I was like, I burst out laughing because I was not expecting that. Because yes, that is the problem.
Yeah, genuinely.
She is. She has...
Not in a sarcastic way.
No, not in a derogatory way even. Like, she clearly has something going on.
She needs help.
Some serious help. And so, yeah, when I, it just made me, laugh because I was like, oh my goodness, dude. Like,
we went there.
You've been brutal. But this was, I don't know if he was meaning it and, you actually need to go get help, or if he was just trying to,
that angry.
Yeah, be that angry and, kind of cut her down a little bit. But he chases after MiRae because it's pouring rain and he had bought her an umbrella, and that was the whole reason he had come back to the bar. And MiRae ends up stopping in the rain, and she just is replaying over and over again what she just saw of this is a confirmation of everything that she had been fearing. But KyungSeok runs up and covers her with the umbrella and asks if she is okay. And she tries to give the umbrella back, please go. I don't want to talk to you right now. And he actually pulls her in closer and asks, do you really not know that I like you? I want to go out with you. Which, again, girl, he's been
dropping some not so subtle hints.
Hey, I like you. Do you like me too? And now we're hey.
Circle yes or no.
Check yes or no. But I really liked this because he tells her that she has to answer. You don't get a runaway on this. Stop. I need an answer from this. And she looks at him and tells him that she can't help but care what others are going to think or say, because being with him will end up making her life torture. And he asks her if he really never had a chance to begin with. And
well, she says, why would a guy like you want to be with a girl like her? And he says, what's a guy like me and a girl like you? What does that even mean? What do you see me as? And she answers, as a friend, someone who can't be more. And he starts to get angry with her at this point. Mad. And he reminds her that this... he won't... He starts to get angry with her because she won't just be honest. And he says, I'm not asking what can or can't be. I want to know what you feel for me. And she says that they can't be together, that he's privileged because of his looks, and she will always be a Gangnam Beauty. And he gets angry, and he's just admit that you love me, woman!
That's all I want.
And she acknowledges that she thinks he's obsessed with her looks. But she sees their relationship as a burden, and he echoes a thought that she had with Sua, which is, I never had a chance from the beginning. And I thought that was interesting, because as much as she invested in this empty relationship with Sua, thinking that they had something that was going to have longevity,
right,
he was investing in this relationship with her, hoping that he could flip her over to his side. But they both want to keep that person at arm's length, even though they've, I don't know, run through hell to try to be there for that person.
Right.
But it's so sad.
It was very sad.
The way he just turns on his heel and walks away without saying a word.
You know what? Go home in the rain then.
Yep, I got it loud and clear, thanks. But topic 9 is called I'll Wait. It is the next day at Kelllun, and Suwa greets Wonho and thanks him for a drink that's waiting for her on the desk. But it was actually Dongwon, the guy from the tuna scene earlier, who is really leaning into his delusion that Suwa is interested in him, going so far as to post on SNS about it. But it's lunch that day, and Suwa is seen putting away her lunch, which the director compliments, and it's kind of brought up that this is her insecurity, which is she can't gain weight. But MiRae is walking in the building and runs into KyungSeok, who's grabbing a cider, and he asks if they can talk, and they do. If you're having a hard time because of me, then I should stop, but if you think we can go back to how we were, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. But I'll wait. And it's so sweet. And it's honest. I think
he's being so real.
It's a completely fair position to put her into. It's like, I'm not gonna be a jerk to you, but I can't just be your friend. This is my proposition. You can take it or leave it. I'm not gonna be mad at you either way now. Like, I've gotten over the big mad.
Initial,
But this is how I feel, and I can't just shut that off.
Right, that doesn't just go away.
Right, and I really appreciate that he's so straightforward. Which, again, he's never given any indication that he is any other way. But it is in Taeshik's taxi. And then Jim is looking at her makeup. I want you to talk about this, because I've been so excited for this scene. Go ahead, please.
So they are on their way to Wooyoung's, and because they find him to be a very, like, exceptional young man. He's close by, he's our daughter's,
future husband.
At this current moment, that's the plan.
Yeah.
But he's just been there, and he's been helpful for them. Like, he's just a nice guy, and so they just want to check on him. And when they get to his apartment, Hye-sung and Kyung-hee are there because they're waiting for KyungSeok. And so they...
Hang on, though. You remember in the car when she's like, I used to be the prettiest girl in the neighborhood. Do you remember? And she's like, don't you think I look a little like MiRae? Don't I look like a Gangnam Beauty's mother? And she goes...
Oh, yeah?
He's like, yes, of course, you look like a Gangnam Beauty's mother. Ah! Okay, anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Okay, so they all meet, and they decide to go get coffee. And... they're complimenting that, KyungSeok is also, like, a great young man because they met him at MiRae's work. And Eunjim compliments Hye-sung, saying that she is so pretty, and she's so pretty that she must be a Gangnam Beauty. And Kyung-hee very quickly lets her know what a Gangnam Beauty is, and she goes, that's for somebody who's had a lot of plastic surgery.
Yep. And pop goes the bubble.
And yes, all.
Yeah.
That
rough. How'd you feel about that?
I wish
Was it a satisfying way to, like, end their delusion?
I mean, I think so, because Hye-sung was so
gracious
about it because she's like, oh, they have no idea what this means.
I know when Kyung-hee says, my mother hasn't had plastic surgery, and she just goes,
stop it. Like, but it was a, I'm glad it was somebody that was, like, a stranger, but not, like, just some random stranger.
Yeah. And they were kind. It's not like...
Right. Yeah, Kyung-hee was obviously offended because she's like, how dare you? Like, my mother's gorgeous.
Naturally.
But, like, it was not like they were trying to be, like...
It wasn't toward MiRae.
Right. Junior.
But on the car ride... ride back home...
It is.
Eunjim and Taeshik are so quiet, and then they play the radio, and the lyrics are, I miss your face. But that brings us to topic 10, which is called 99 Problems. Taeyoung has texted Suwa asking to meet. Go ahead, you talk about this.
So he texts Suwa asking if they could meet, and Suwa immediately just looks at Taehee, and I was like, you're the worst.
Well, Taehee is so blissfully unaware of the fact that she has...
so happy. She's with the guy that she's always admired.
And he's so problematic.
And he's a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Oh. But MiRae is at the bus stop. And, waiting to go home. And she sees that KyungSeok is walking towards her. And she gets, really nervous because, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to talk to him? Are we supposed to ignore each other now? And the bus shows up. But as the bus shows up, KyungSeok just walks right past and doesn't even look at her. Just goes. And she gets a phone call from Wooyoung saying, remember, we're meeting today. We're going to go to the movies. So they go to the movies and then they go to dinner afterwards. And they're just talking, and Wooyoung tells her that he likes her. And he's had a crush on her since they first met. And she just, she is so unaware anyway. But this was, out of left field for her.
Mm-hmm.
She had absolutely zero clue that he was even remotely interested in her. He's just been helpful, but he's also kind and helpful to everyone else. So she didn't think that his behavior was...
I think she kind of viewed it as a breach of trust in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was so, open with him and let her guard down. And then for him to be like, well, it was because I liked you this whole time. She's like, excuse you?
I'm sorry, what now? Well, and when she asks him why, and he tells her that it's because she's pretty, she just doesn't know what to do with that. She's like, you know.
She's very cautious about it, though, because she's like, right. I know it's Wooyoung, so I'm going to give him a chance to explain himself, but I don't like that answer.
Right. That is, I'm dealing with somebody who... I'm dealing with Sua, who hates me because...
Well, and she's so anti-good looks anyway.
Right.
Or anti-people who make that their sole focus.
Mm-hmm.
That she's just... Yeah, she doesn't like that response.
Yeah, it's a very, I can't say that I would like that response very well either. Oh yeah, I just liked you because you were pretty. Okay, yeah. But I might have the personality of a wet sock.
Can confirm false.
As we sit here giggling every Friday night for hours.
But I love that Yoojin is over at the Berlin trying to dig into KyungSeok's woes.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes that it involves a girl, which is kind of new territory for KyungSeok.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a girl who rejected him in spite of the fact that she likes him. And Yoojin says, is she pretty? And I love KyungSeok's answer is, she's neither pretty nor ugly. She's just who she is. She's just her.
Mm-hmm.
And then we flash back to Wooyoung telling MiRae that she was his type. And she says to him, I didn't know you were that kind of person. What? With a disgusted look on her face, too.
Oh, yeah,
she's like, I didn't know you were that kind of a person. Which confuses the heck out of Wooyoung.
Yeah. That's fair.
That was a very personal, dig at him.
Mm-hmm.
And he presents her with a really good point, I think, which is that everyone has preferences, and that is not wrong. It is not inherently wrong to like blue eyes over brown eyes, or to like someone who has short hair over long hair. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's not wrong. Now, if you're going to be a jerk about it,
that's when it becomes
that's a problem. Yeah, that's called discrimination. We don't approve of that here. But she reminds him that she was just, quote, unbelievably ugly before she had her surgery. And he tells her that he might have thought that she was pretty at first, but she's truly just likable because of who she is.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, yeah, you caught my eye because you were pretty, but I wouldn't have confessed to you if I didn't like you.
Yeah, there wasn't things that had grown from getting to know you.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone is walking home now. MiRae with Wooyoung and KyungSeok is on his own, but MiRae is almost to the apartment when she decides that she's going to give Wooyoung his answer, and it's that she can't return his feelings. And he tells her you need to not worry and to stop apologizing. People who can like someone and people who can't like someone don't exist. And then he wishes her luck with KyungSeok. And he admits that he knew and simply wanted to admit his feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And MiRae cries, telling him that he's a good person, and he reaches out to comfort her. And it's that moment,
That one right there,
that KyungSeok sees them together, and his anger, hurt is reignited all over again.
It's not going to be a baby rage spiral.
No, it is going to be a full-on rage spiral. That's episode 2. Character of the hour.
Well, when I watched this and did the notes for it, I had
4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago, I had Hye-sung. She just loves her son, and she just loves MiRae, and she genuinely just wants to be there for both of them. It doesn't matter in what capacity.
Without judgment.
Without judgment, yeah. Obviously, she's concerned because her son suddenly has blue hair, and
Yes.
what, are you okay? Like, are classes stressing you out? Like, are you sure you're good?
She walks that line so well in a way that I aspire to be as a mom, but I know I yell a lot. She's so good at listening, and then she's like,
and then responding.
Here is maybe where we went wrong, and here's how we can course correct together.
Well, and yet, like, even with MiRae, of just like, one, I'm sorry that anybody's ever made you feel less than. And she's been that way consistently with MiRae. And then just be like, but you're
never
probably,
undercuts her.
You're probably not alone in feeling so
Yeah.
different or feeling whatever it is. As we talked about it, though, I am kind of, I would say probably MiRae would be an honorable mention.
Really?
Because of the end of the episode.
This is one of your first times you've said that, I think.
Maybe the second. Because there was one.
There was one other time earlier on.
It was instantly.
But it's been a while.
It's been a while. But, and again, this is just because of, like, us talking about it. I mean, obviously she's very annoyed with Woo-young for his reasoning. But after they part ways and she walks a little farther and it clicks in her head and she's finally just like, oh, that makes sense. I get it now. So I wouldn't say she'd be like an honorable mention.
Yeah.
Because
she's hitting her growth arc.
We're getting there. Of course, in the last 4 episodes of the show.
That's how it always goes.
I know. Who's yours?
I think Hye-sung is probably mine. I feel like Woo-young might have been my other, because he's getting dragged by KyungSeok for really no reason. And he's very nice to him. Yeah, I don't know. Those are my 2. Final thoughts.
Why is everything happening and making these episodes 700 hours long? Last few episodes.
I said to you earlier, I was like, we've been doing Gyeongsang Creature and Gangnam Beauty at the same time, and I was like, all of a sudden, we flip-flopped, and our notes on Gyeongsang Creature are like 3 pages long, and our notes on Gangnam Beauty are like 8, 9, 10 pages long so typed. Long. It's insane.
But I am...
There's a lot of moving storylines.
There's a lot of moving storylines, and even, I mean, like I know I said earlier with KyungSeok's response to Suwa, she has some serious mental health problems that need to be addressed. And obviously that's going to be addressed because it's been highlighted now specifically. But that's going to be a very interesting story to flesh out in the last few episodes.
Do you remember when I told you it all ramps up? The romance and the drama?
The drama, yeah. Also, Taeyoung, dude, you suck. Like, why are you...
My dog is ruining my carpet upstairs.
Yes,
it's fine.
Like, why are you... Why are you doing that? Knock it off! I'm being ignored.
amazing because he is literally right there.
I know. But like, why are you being such a jerk to your girlfriend? If you don't want to be with her, then quit being a schmuck.
Remember when we liked him?
Yeah. Long distant memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's just a lot.
There's a lot. Liking it, not liking it, indifferent.
I'm liking it more.
Scale of 1 to 10 right now.
Right now, let's see. Okay.
If 10 is goblin and 1 is chicken nugget, where do we fall? More chicken nugget or more goblin?
I would say right now for me it's probably a 5.
Okay, it's right in the middle.
Right in the middle. And that's just because it's getting more interesting. But like our core people are lovable.
Yeah.
Of Hye-sung, KyungSeok, MiRae, Hyunjin, Wooyoung. Like they're just
They're likable characters.
They're likable characters.
You want to root for them. Yeah. And you want to maybe throat punch Suwa.
Always.
All right, on that note, that was episode 12. Like what you're hearing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new episodes. We'd love to connect with you on our Instagram at The KDrama Show. For more behind-the-scenes content, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on The KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim, and we'll see you next time.